Thank you for choosing to experiment with this way of using gentle movement to release your subconscious self-limitations. So through using the safe and gentle movements of the Feldenkrais method, we explore how we use our body. We become aware of places in our body that we've forgotten and don't use, areas that we overuse, how we learn how we compensate and how that complicates the whole system and limits our function, therefore limits our self-expression. So this exploration process awakens these areas in the body and then clarifies the possibilities and potential for movement, and then we learn to integrate it. We learn to include those areas into a more harmonious whole body function. So this then changes our body image. We can feel more aligned, balanced, connected, coordinated, flexible and stronger. That means the cause of those limitations must also have been altered. So there has been a shift in consciousness to some degree. So we then practice identifying with this different awareness of the self. I'm very grateful the Feldenkrais method came into the world at a time in my life when I was seriously exploring ways to overcome my back pain and knee surgery and shoulder problems, which I learned came from my mistaken ideas about myself, ideas of inferiority, self-doubt and guilt and shame. When I began Feldenkrais, I experienced changes immediately. Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais developed this extraordinary system for accessing the power of the central nervous system to improve human functioning. Through using the method which he developed, which I found very meditative and relaxing, to get to the source of my pain and dis-ease, I learned that it was my self-image that was the origin of my physical and emotional debilitation. In this process I learned to honour my integrity. First of all, I had to feel the experience of integrity and then trust enough to honour it. I always thought I had no rights. No rights to say that, no rights to want that, think that, feel that, and so on. For these and other habits of the ego, I've largely learned to let go. Now, I honour my beliefs and preferences and feelings through the release of the doubt and guilt I had in myself. I choose now to see my mistakes as nothing and stand in my quiet power, rather than to feel ashamed. And I learned to respect and treat myself lovingly. And one simple way of doing that was by keeping my own counsel in the face of strong resistance or disapproval. All of the emotion connected to my self-image was being held in my body. Feldenkrais released the physical disease and the cause. It took me directly into an experience of another way of being in my body. And I learned to hold the conscious awareness of innocence, power and certainty that came with this new way of being. So I'm very grateful for this life-changing transformation and to be pain-free, which the Feldenkrais method played a key role. So why is this history in the body? In our early years, from the womb to about 6 to 8 years of age, we've been influenced by our environment, which shaped our self-perception. That is our family, neighbourhood, religion, our country and the culture. All determined our beliefs, judgments, prejudices and attitudes. This, along with our experience of how much we were loved or how much we were not loved, determined how we perceived ourselves and the world. So I grew up thinking this is who I am. Because I learned this. I learned to be this way. So who is this I who learned this? Who was I before I learned this? So now it's possible I hold two very different images of myself. The I as I was created, perfect and whole, and the I that I made. So with this new awareness through movement, We practice holding on to this shift in consciousness so as to reinforce it. So now we are more in integrity with the real self. Then is for us to learn how we can use gentle body movement to release our subconscious conditioning or ego self-perception. So how can this happen? The first premise we need to accept is that the purpose of the body is to serve as a vehicle to express the mind. In other words, we use our body to express ourselves. So we practice identifying with this new sense of self. That is, strenuously identifying with it, connecting with it, becoming it, so that it then becomes our new self-identity. In other words, we're letting go of the self-imposed self-image and remembering more the original self. So the influence of this gentle movement process changes our body image and therefore our self-identity. So this makes it a quantum shift because now we have a more true perception of ourselves and the world, and we experience life from a new perspective. Thank you again for experimenting with this method of letting go. So enjoy the journey this gentle movement takes you through. Thank you.